All right, let's talk about Baker Mayfield, quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if you weren't aware, who has now led them to a 3-1 start, and this might have been his best game in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniform, maybe his best game in a while, to be honest. I thought he was really good in this football game, and a big game against the division rival, the team that's also 2-1. Winner's going to lead the division, loser now isn't leading the division. Mayfield made some really key plays. We'll start off with this one. It's going to be a Mike Evans on Marshawn Lattimore play. We know those two guys tend to be on each other a decent amount. Unfortunately, Evans got hurt, but when it was, early on when Evans was healthy, Evans was winning this matchup. He was, and a big chunk of it was Mayfield giving him the ball. Watch as Mayfield's going to run this play action. He looks over and fires over in Evans's direction, and you see that there's a window here. And, I think to some degree, there are advantages to Mayfield being a quarterback instead of Tom Brady. I want to be very clear in what I'm saying. Obviously, Tom Brady is the better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. We all agree with that. But there are just certain aspects of Mayfield's game that weren't in Brady's game. And one of those is Mayfield's not afraid to just sort of throw up a jump ball and say, let's see what happens. Brady would occasion, he would pick his spots, but Mayfield's definitely more of a gunslinger, which when you have good receivers can sometimes add value. Watch as, Lattimore defends that relatively well, but doesn't matter. Everyone was able to make the grab, and in fairness, I think Brady probably makes that throw too, but I'm just, saying in terms of a broad stroke, the fact that Mayfield is willing to trust his receivers and will put the ball, in their direction, I think is a real benefit towards Tampa Bay. And this next play is another thing that I think was a real benefit towards Tampa Bay, and part of why, so this coverage, cover 2 zone, it's been the bane of Tampa Bay's existence for really since Bruce Arians got there, but specifically in the Brady era, and even, last week against Philadelphia, Tampa Bay struggled when the Eagles were running this type of coverage, and it makes sense, right? I mean, what are the Buccaneers good at? Downfield passing is a key positive because of Mike Evans. Well, that's harder to do against cover 2 zone. They're also bad at running the football, so that's a weakness of cover 2 that they can't really exploit. Watch how on this play, you're going to see that Mayfield, looks towards the bottom of the screen, and that's kind of the other way you can beat this, right, is sort of underneath routes, but that's difficult. This is a 3rd down and 7, so if you do look for an underneath route and you make a throw in that direction, you just don't know if it's going to actually be a first down or not. It looks good now, but there is a Saints player who's literally just right off screen right now, further towards the right. So not a good throw where Mayfield is looking. So Mayfield's going to instead pull the ball back and run up towards the top of the screen. I'm going to highlight one block in particular right here. This is a good block, I think. It's going to be Rachaad White going up against Marshawn Lattimore, and watch what White does. Watch him kind of let Lattimore go to the side, but then blocks him off to the side. That is a legal play and a very good block to help sort of set that edge by a running back, and Mayfield does a good job of running, and he picks up the first down. Mayfield's rushing ability was, again, another one of those things where it's like, that wasn't an aspect of the Tom Brady era Buccaneers. Again, it didn't usually matter because they were good enough at throwing, but, this is just a new wrinkle in the offense that's interesting to see, and for a coverage that they really struggle with, this is a potential way to beat it. If you're putting 2 safeties further deep, it makes the running game easier, but also makes it easier for the quarterback to run, and Mayfield really picked his spots very well. I mean, a lot of key 3rd downs, he was able to use his legs to pick up those first downs, and you don't have to be Lamar Jackson out there. A lot of times it's not necessarily about how fast you are, and he still is athletic, but he's not like a super athlete like some of these other quarterbacks, but he's athletic enough and he picks his spots well, and he certainly was doing that well in this game. Going over here, we have to talk about the biggest negative for Baker Mayfield in this one, I thought. I mean, this was a bad play, no getting around it. He had a couple other missed throws, but this is the only one I would really say was like, oh yeah, this is a bad play from Mayfield. It's one-on-one matchup with Chris Godwin on the outside, which makes sense to look in that direction. Evans is hurt at this point, so, okay, Chris Godwin, you have 2 number 1 receivers for a reason, right? Let's put the ball in his direction. Makes sense. So Mayfield's going to take the snap. Godwin doing a pretty decent job on the outside. Now he has the outside leverage, so you got to make sure that if you're going to make this throw, get it down the field and get it high, right? That's where you have to throw this football. There is a window though, so I can understand why Mayfield wants to make this throw. But this throw is just not a good one. I mean, watch, that's way underneath where Godwin basically had to turn into a defender. Had a lot of experience of that playing in, for Jameis Winston's 30 for 30 year. But just a tough situation for Godwin. Not a lot he could do. It was a mistake from Mayfield. Ended up working out as it pinned the Saints to the 1 yard line, which probably should have been the a touchback instead of at the 1 yard line. And then Buccaneers took advantage, got a fumble right back, and scored a touchdown. So in a weird way, it ended up actually helping Tampa Bay. But at the time, it did not feel like it was going to help Tampa Bay. And if they didn't get that fumble, this could have been it would have allowed the Saints really to keep in this game until late in the fourth quarter if everything else stayed the same. And who knows what happens, because again, change one little thing, the whole rest of the game changes as well. So, just a mistake, got away with one there. But again, other than that, I thought he was very good. Another thing is something like this. Again, third downs were such a big part of this game. I mean, third downs in general, obviously, so much of football does come to third downs. And you want to avoid third downs or make third downs as, convertible as possible. Really, you just don't want to have to deal with them in general, right? Usually you just want to get the first down on second down. Don't even put yourself in this spot. But, these third down and mediums, third down and 5, these are a lot of times where games are won and lost. And even in this game, Tampa Bay went 8 for 15 on third downs. The Saints only 5 for 14. Like, that's a pretty big swing. That gives you an extra few possessions, essentially. And this play was a really clever play call by Dave Canales. I don't know if I've seen this before. I thought this was really smart, where it's a third down and 5, and to have it set up as though it's just going to be a sort of a pick play. You have a receiver kind of run out, gets into the way of a defender. It's Devin Tompkins. That's the guy who you're hoping to see get open. Trey Palmer, the other receiver in the area. So the idea is kind of, Palmer gets in the way of the defender who's supposed to cover Tompkins, and then Tompkins is able to run up and, get open. Something you see all the time, but it's an effective play here against man coverage. But this is not what they're doing. Tompkins is instead going to cut back like that. And so, they're using this as a fake, and that's a really clever idea that I don't know if I've seen before, of like a fake pick play, essentially. And watch how when this works. I mean, also got to give credit to Tompkins, who runs this route really well. He's open right here. Now, Mayfield still has to make an accurate throw. Not to get the completion. The completion should be converted here. But he has to make sure he puts it in a spot where Tompkins can run after the catch and pick up the first down. But that's going to be exactly what Mayfield does. Tompkins is able to pick up the first down. Really good stuff by both of those two. And they're able to, pick up a key third down, and these were the things that they were able to do consistently, was just move the ball effectively. I thought the play calling was very good in this one. Saints defense I still think is good, and I still think the Tampa Bay offense has room to get better for sure, but they're just, they're playing good football right now, and Mayfield's playing good football. I think has done a lot of really good stuff this season, and I've been very pleasantly surprised. You kind of knew there was the possibility of this, but he does legitimately look like back when he was having, he had that good year in Cleveland where they got to the playoffs. That's what he looks like right now, and he's just super fun to watch on top of it. So just very exciting, and hey, look at this, the Buccaneers, as they're the favorites to win the division at this point. So cool to see. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.